Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be talking about AI.
AI.
It feels like it's absolutely everywhere right now.
Oh, it is.
It's seen on social media. It's driving these huge GE investments, and it's even changing the way police do their work.
I know, it's pretty wild. I think a lot of people don't realize how integrated AI is into our everyday lives already.
Yeah, we're going to try to unpack that a little today, see what it actually means for you, maybe
Mhm.
uncover a couple of surprises along the way.
For sure.
So, first up, let's talk about those ads that you see online, right? Remember how crazy social media was during the Olympics?
Oh, yeah, I do.
Imagine, like, brands being able to predict those peak moments of
Yeah.
excitement, and then they tailor ads specifically to that energy.
hmm
So X, formerly Twitter, they're doing this now with their new Trend Genius ads.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's like AI predicting the future of conversations.
Wow.
So they're using AI to analyze real-time data on X to forecast these trending topics.
Yeah.
Then brands, they can time their ads just right for maximum impact.
It's like having a crystal ball.
Yeah,
Like they can see what everybody's going to be talking about
exactly.
before they even know it themselves.
That's right.
They're not just throwing any old ads out there either. These ads are specifically designed to tap into those trending emotions.
And early data actually shows that this is really grabbing people's attention.
Oh, interesting.
But we need more studies, long-term studies, to see if it actually leads to sales.
Right, because that's the real question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do these things actually work? But also, we always like to consider the downsides, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, are you comfortable with the idea of X knowing what you're talking about
Right.
and when, even if it's, supposedly anonymous?
Yeah, for sure. Transparency is key here, right?
Right.
Users need to know how that data is being used, what privacy measures are in place.
Exactly. It's like this weird trade-off.
Yeah.
On the one hand, you might see some really relevant ads that you're actually interested in.
Mm.
But then, on the other hand, it could feel like a little bit of an invasion of privacy.
For sure. And this leads us to this other area where AI is making a huge impact.
Okay.
Investments. Have you heard about all these billions of dollars
I have.
pouring into generative AI?
Yeah.
We're talking $25.2 billion last year alone.
It's mind-blowing.
Clearly, these investors are seeing something big here.
But what is fueling it? Like, is it just hype?
Right.
Or is there something more to it?
I think ChatGPT kind of blew everyone's minds,
Yeah.
Suddenly, generative AI wasn't just this abstract thing. It was writing poems and composing music. It was helping people code.
Yeah.
So that's when investors really started to pay attention.
So it's not just a fad. There's real potential for this technology to change things up.
Oh, yeah. The possibilities, they're huge.
Wow.
Content creation to design and even coding.
Yeah.
And analysts are predicting generative AI investments could reach $150 billion by 2027.
That's a huge leap.
Yeah.
So it sounds like generative AI is going to be a big part of our lives moving forward.
It definitely could be, but it's important to be realistic,
Okay.
Don't get swept up in the hype.
Good point.
Yeah.
Now let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about something you might not expect. AI in law enforcement.
Yeah.
Specifically, the use of AI to help police officers write reports.
Yeah, I know the Oklahoma City Police Department is actually already experimenting with this.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So instead of spending hours, filling out paperwork,
Yeah.
officers can spend more time doing, what they do best.
Mm-hmm.
But can AI really understand the nuances of a situation
Right.
and capture all of the details that might be important in a police report?
Well, these AI tools, they analyze body cam footage and all kinds of data,
Right.
to generate an initial report of the incident. But human oversight is still crucial.
Oh,
AI should be a tool to help, not replace human judgment.
Right. It's about making their jobs easier, not handing over the decision-making to algorithms.
Exactly.
But there are still some potential concerns here, right? What about the possibility of errors?
Oh, for sure. It's definitely something to consider.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that any information going into these AI systems, that it's accurate, that it's reliable,
Right.
and the algorithms, they need to be designed to minimize these errors.
So this raises some big questions about how we ensure accuracy,
Mhm.
and then how do we prevent potential bias from creeping in?
Right.
And then we have to consider the legal implications too.
Exactly. Can an AI-generated report be used in court?
That's a good question.
Who's responsible if there are errors?
Right.
These are things we can't afford to just ignore.
It's like we're entering this whole new frontier here.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be prepared for all the challenges.
Absolutely. It seems like AI is bringing a lot of exciting possibilities, but
Yeah.
we got to be aware of the potential downsides as well.
Well, I don't know about you, but I feel like we already covered a lot of ground here.
We have, but we're just getting started.
Oh,
There's
no.
still so much more to explore when it comes to AI and its impact on all of us. It really does feel like AI is touching every aspect of our lives, these days.
Yeah.
It's not about, robots in the future anymore.
Right.
It's these practical things that are shaping how we live and work right now.
It's pretty wild, like how much things have changed in such a short amount of time.
I know, it's only going to accelerate, too, from here.
So speaking of things changing quickly, let's go back to those AI investments for a sec.
Okay.
You mentioned that analysts are predicting huge growth
Yeah.
in generative AI investments in the next few years.
Right.
What does that actually mean, like, for us?
Well, I think we can expect a lot more AI-powered tools, applications coming out.
Like what?
Think about like personalized education,
Okay.
advanced healthcare diagnostics, even more creative content, like music and art made by AI.
It's like we're on the verge of a whole new era of innovation.
It's an exciting time to be watching this, for sure. But it's also important to remember that not every investment
Right.
is going to be a winner.
Right. There's always risk with new technology.
Exactly. Some of these are going to succeed and some are going to fail.
Yeah.
The key is to be discerning, not get caught up in all the hype.
So how can we, as everyday people,
Right.
how can we sort through all of that noise, figure out what's truly revolutionary and what's just a flash in the pan?
You got to ask the right questions,
Okay.
What problem is this technology trying to solve?
Mm-hmm.
How is it different from what's already out there?
Yeah.
And most importantly, like, what are the potential downsides?
So it's not just about being impressed by the shiny new thing.
Right.
It's about thinking critically
Exactly.
about how it might impact our lives.
Be an informed consumer, a
Yeah.
thoughtful citizen in this age of AI.
Well said. Now, before we move on, I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier.
Okay.
AI in law enforcement. It's fascinating, but it's also kind of unsettling.
It is. There are a lot of important questions
Yeah.
about how to balance the benefits of AI with the need for human oversight.
Right. Exactly. Because on the one hand,
Yeah.
it seems like it could really streamline like the whole process of writing police reports,
Yeah.
free up the officers to, to do other things.
Right.
But on the other hand, there's always that worry about, potential bias.
It's crucial that any AI in law enforcement is trained on a diverse data set.
Okay.
So you minimize the risk of bias. And even then, human review is essential.
So it's not just about plugging in some data and letting the AI just write the report.
No, absolutely not. There needs to be a human there.
Right.
Someone who can evaluate the information, consider the context, make sure that the final report is accurate and fair.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'm curious about like the legal side of things.
Yeah.
If AIs is involved in writing a police report,
Right.
how does that affect, like, if it can be used in court?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and it's still being debated, honestly.
Yeah.
Some argue that it should be treated just like any other evidence,
Okay.
subject to the same rules. Others think that because AI can be so complex
Right.
and hard to understand sometimes, there needs to be more scrutiny.
So there isn't really like a clear answer yet.
Not really. It's a pretty new area of the law.
Okay.
It'll probably take courts some time to figure it out.
So as AI gets more common in law enforcement, we could probably expect some pretty interesting legal battles.
Oh, yeah, I think that's a safe bet.
A lot of unanswered questions.
Mm-hmm.
And the answers are going to have a big impact
Yeah, they will.
on how we use AI in this context.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're having this conversation now
Yeah, me too.
because it seems like this is only going to become more and more important.
For sure. It's important to think about these things now before it's too late, before technology gets too far ahead.
So what's the takeaway for everyone listening? What do they need to know about AI in law enforcement?
Just be aware
Okay.
of the benefits and the risks,
Right.
AI could make things more efficient and effective,
Yeah.
but we need to be careful about bias and we need to have humans involved.
Right. It's like we've been saying this whole time, AI is a powerful tool, but it's up to us to make sure it's used responsibly.
Absolutely.
We need to be informed, engaged, ask tough questions.
Yeah.
Well said. Now, speaking of shaping the future, let's shift gears one last time. Let's talk big picture.
Okay.
What does the future look like where AI is just, like, deeply integrated into our lives?
That's the question on everyone's mind right now, and
Yeah.
it doesn't have a simple answer.
But isn't that part of what makes it so fascinating?
Yeah.
We're literally standing on the edge of something brand new,
Yeah.
something that has the potential to change everything.
That's what brings so many people to this, you
Yeah.
know? The possibilities feel endless, only limited by, like, what we can imagine.
Yeah.
But we have to be careful, you know?
Okay.
Have some foresight.
So while there's a lot of excitement about AI's potential,
Mm-hmm.
there's also some healthy skepticism.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's good to be realistic about the opportunities and the challenges.
Okay, so let's talk about the challenges for a minute.
Okay.
What are some of the biggest concerns people have?
I'd say one of the most common is the impact on jobs.
Yeah, that makes sense.
As AI gets more sophisticated, it's probably going to automate a lot of things
Right.
that humans do now.
It's that whole thing we hear about all the time.
Yeah.
Robots are going to take our jobs.
Right. And it's not an entirely unfounded fear either.
Yeah.
There will definitely be some jobs that are lost because of AI.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember that AI will create new jobs too.
Oh, okay.
Jobs that we can't even imagine right now.
So it's not just about jobs being lost. It's about a shift in the types of jobs that are going to be in demand.
Exactly. The key is going to be adapting,
Okay.
learning the skills that are going to be needed in this new economy.
So rather than fearing AI, we should focus on how to work with it, how to harness its power to make a better future.
I think that's the best way to look at it. Embrace change.
Yeah.
Find ways to use AI to our advantage.
Well said.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about another concern
Yeah.
that always comes up with AI,
Yeah.
privacy.
Oh, yeah. Privacy is huge in the age of AI.
Yeah.
These systems, they're constantly collecting and analyzing data.
Yeah.
And we need to pay attention to how that data is being used.
Especially when you consider how much personal information we put online.
Yeah. It's important to advocate for good privacy laws and to be really careful about who we trust with our data.
So it's not just about what we post online.
Right.
It's also about what happens behind the scenes.
How is that data being used?
Okay, so we talked about jobs. We talked about privacy. What other concerns are out there?
Another big one is that AI could be used for bad things, you know,
Okay.
like in weapons or for surveillance.
Those are pretty scary scenarios.
They are. It raises a lot of ethical issues.
Yeah.
We need to be talking about these things.
Right.
And making sure that AI is used for good.
So it's not just about the tech itself.
No.
It's about the values,
Yeah.
the ethics that we build into it.
It reflects our values as a society, right?
Mm.
So if we want a better future with AI, we need to look at ourselves
Yeah.
and ask, what kind of future do we want?
That's a powerful thought. And it kind of brings us back to, shaping the future of AI
Yeah.
rather than letting it shape us.
It's all connected. What we do today will impact tomorrow.
So what can our listeners do to be a part of this?
Learn more about AI, you know?
Yeah.
Follow the experts. Talk about it with people
Yeah.
online, in your community.
It's about being informed, staying curious, using your voice to stand up for the future that you want.
Exactly. Every voice matters.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a lot more informed and empowered after this deep dive.
Me too.
It's amazing to think about what's possible.
It's an exciting time to be alive.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see what happens with AI.
Yeah.
And with all of us.
Now, before we wrap things up, I want to go back to something you said before
Okay.
about the potential for AI to create new jobs
Yeah.
that we can't even imagine yet.
It is pretty fascinating.
So what areas do you see AI having the biggest impact in?
One is personalized medicine.
Oh, okay.
AI is already helping to develop new drugs and therapies
Yeah.
that are tailored to your specific genes.
So instead of like a one-size-fits-all healthcare,
Right.
we're moving towards something more individualized.
Exactly. And that's going to create a demand for people
Okay.
who can build and run these solutions.
So if you're interested in a career in healthcare, AI is something you should be learning about.
Absolutely. And it's not just healthcare either.
Uh-huh.
AI is going to have a big impact on education,
Okay.
finance, transportation.
So there's no limit to what AI could create.
I don't think so. The key is to be adaptable.
Yeah.
Never stop learning, you know?
Be willing to try new things.
Right?
So to our listeners who are wondering about their careers, the answer is, it's up to you.
The future is yours to create.
Yeah.
Embrace the possibilities, never stop learning.
Well said. Now, before we move on to our final thoughts, I want to touch on one more aspect of AI.
Okay.
I think it's really relevant to our listeners.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's the idea of AI as a tool for, like, personal growth,
Oh, okay.
self-improvement.
Interesting. I like that.
So I was reading this article about how it's being used to create personalized, fitness plans, nutrition plans.
Mm-hmm.
And it got me thinking about all the other ways AI could be used to help us live healthier, happier, more fulfilling lives.
Yeah, I love that idea. AI could help us track our goals.
Well, yeah.
Figure out what we need to improve. Give personalized recommendations
Yeah.
for everything, like diet, exercise, sleep,
It's like having a coach available 24/7.
Exactly. And as it keeps evolving, we can expect more and more sophisticated tools
Yeah.
to help us reach our full potential.
So while we've talked a lot about the big picture impact of AI,
Mm-hmm.
it's also important to remember the personal impact.
Yeah. It's not just some big, abstract force.
Right.
It's a tool we can use to empower ourselves.
Create the lives we want.
Exactly.
Well said, and I think that's a perfect segue
Yeah.
to our final thoughts for this deep dive.
Okay, let's wrap up with some key takeaways.
So as we see today, AI is transforming our world.
Mm-hmm.
It's driving innovation, creating new opportunities,
Right.
and it's raising some really important questions
It is.
about the future of work, privacy, and ethics.
The big stuff.
Yeah, and the key is that AI is not something to be scared of
No.
or ignore.
It's something to understand,
Yeah,
embrace, and shape.
we need to be informed consumers,
Mm. Mhm.
thoughtful citizens.
Right.
Participate in the conversation
Yeah. It's important.
about how AI is developed and used.
The future of AI is not already decided,
Right.
We're all creating it together.
So let's make a future where AI empowers us,
Yeah.
not control us.
Well said. And I think that brings us to the end of our deep dive.
Thank you all for joining us. We hope you learned something new and that you'll keep exploring the fascinating world of AI.
And remember, the future is not something that happens to us.
Right.
It's something that we create.
So let's create a future where AI and humanity thrive together.
Wow. We've covered a lot of ground. AI really is changing the world in so many ways.
It is.
Yeah.
And, I got to say, I feel pretty optimistic
Yeah.
about the future after our conversation today.
Yeah.
Like, AI has the potential to solve some of the world's biggest problems, but it's on us, right, to make sure that it's used for good.
Absolutely. We need to be, proactive
Mm.
in shaping how AI is developed and used, making sure that it aligns with our values,
Mm-hmm.
that it helps humanity.
Okay, now before we wrap up, I want to leave everyone listening with a thought, something to think about. We talked a lot about what AI can do,
Right.
but what about the things that it might not be able to do?
Mhm.
What about the human experience? What do you think will always stay, like, uniquely human, even in a world, full of AI?
Oh, that's such a good question. I think one thing AI will never be able to fully replicate is empathy
Oh, interesting.
and compassion. I mean, yeah, it can process data, it can see patterns, but it can't really understand the nuances of human emotion
Mm.
or the complexity of human relationships.
It's like they say, AI can mimic the mind, but it can't replicate the heart.
Exactly. And I think that's something to be happy about. It means that human connection will always be needed, understanding and love, even in a world where, technology is moving so fast.
That is a really beautiful thought.
Mm-hmm.
So as we head into this, future, this exciting, a little uncertain future,
Right.
let's remember those human qualities that make us who we are.
And let's use them, empathy and compassion to guide how we develop AI,
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that it helps us be more human, not less.
That's the perfect way to end it. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the world of AI. I hope you enjoyed our conversation,
I did.
and I hope you'll keep learning about this fascinating field.
It's always changing. And remember, the future isn't something that just happens to us.
Right.
We create it.
So let's get out there and create a future where AI and humanity both thrive.